Welcome to our Lenten Reflections. I'm Father Jonas John Piri. Today we shall look at the right kind of fasting. Fasting, as we have said, is one of the three pillars of Lent, the others being prayer and almsgiving. Hypocrisy is trying to look on the outside different from who really you are on the inside. Jesus calls the Pharisees and scribes hypocrites because when they decided to fast, instead of concealing their fast, they made it plain for all to see that they were fasting. Furthermore, to appear humble and sorrowful, the Pharisees and scribes allowed their hair to become scruffy and untied, poured ashes on their heads, and did not wash their faces. Therefore, like prayer and almsgiving, fasting was reduced to a show-off. In response to all this, Jesus said, they have had their reward in full. Matthew chapter 6, verse 16. In other words, Jesus is saying that if that is the reward you are aiming at in fasting, that is what you get, and that will be all that you get. What then is the kind of fasting that God will be happy with? In Matthew chapter 6, verses 27 to 28, Jesus tells his followers how he wants fasting to be done. They were to anoint their heads and wash their faces. In the Jewish culture, anointing one's head and washing one's face were reserved for joyous occasions. It was not done for daily hygiene or cosmetic reasons. In like manner, Christians are taught to fast without drawing attention to themselves. Jesus says, "But you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face." Matthew 6, verse 17. Thus, when we are fasting, we must fix our hair and wash our face so that people will not know that we are fasting. If you are really fasting for God, then nobody else needs to know. Our goal is not to be seen, is to be seen by God, but not by a human person, a human being. Human speaking, however, it is easy to do something religious if other people are looking at you, are watching you, such as praying, reading the Holy Scriptures, going to church, doing a kind act, and so on. However, fasting for Christians should be radically focused on God. Fasting means a heart that hungers for God. In other words, the heart that motivates fasting is supposed to be a heart for God. In that sense, fasting is a great test and confirmation of God's reality in the life of a Christian, since in many situations, God is the only one who knows that you are fasting. Therefore, for one to fast, God must be real in your life. God must be real to you. Because if God is not real to you or in your life, it will be miserable to endure something as difficult as fasting, when God is the only one who knows what you are experiencing. Nonetheless, the last verse of the passage says, "Your Father who is in secret and who sees in secret will reward you openly." Matthew chapter 6, verse 18. Our Lenten fast for 40 days, our Lenten fast is for 40 days. However, it is not a set length of time that makes fasting acceptable. In biblical times, Fasting generally lasted for a day, as we read in Judges chapter 20 verse 26. Occasionally fasting lasted for 3 days. We can read in Esther chapter 4 verse 16. Fasting also lasted seven days. 1 Samuel chapter 31 verse 13. On 3 occasions we read that fasting lasted 40 days. For example, when Moses received the 10 commandments, Exodus chapter 34 verse 28, and when Elijah encountered God, 1 Kings chapter 19 verse 8, and when Jesus was tempted in the wilderness, Matthew chapter 4 verse 1 to 4. What we need to know is that fasting is a covenant, is an agreement between you and your God, between you and God. And it does not matter how long you will do it. What is important is that you are doing it for the right motives. You can go without food for 40 days for all the wrong reasons. On the other hand, you can skip a single meal or two because you truly want to honor God. During this time of Lent, let us ask ourselves the following questions. Why am I fasting? What is my intention or motive for fasting? What do I hope to achieve by fasting? What are the benefits of my fasting to others? Remember, the purpose of fasting is to take our eyes off the things of this world in order to focus our thoughts on God. And while fasting is meant to be a private act between the believer and God and to draw us closer to God, at the same time, it should ultimately lead us to feed those who are hungry, help the oppressed, give clothes to those who are in need, and provide shelter for those who have none. Isaiah chapter 58 verses 6 to 7. Till next time, may God give us the grace in order to enter fully into the demands of Lent through prayer, self-denial, fasting, and almsgiving. God bless you.